Whoops! All this time we've been actually streaming live. MashaAllah. How
Really?
about that? This is
Okay.
live, ladies and gentlemen. I think somebody, Mizan Ahmed, said, "Is this really live or pre-recorded?" Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. I guess you'll never know.
Uh,
Right. Sorry for the delay in starting, ladies and gentlemen. Basically, as you know, this is from my house. Uh, okay. Good thing we didn't say anything embarrassing, eh?
of course.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, brothers and sisters, and welcome to this week's weekly Muslim roundup on the news. I'm your host, one of your hosts, probably fading into the background now, Salman Butt, Chief Editor of Islam 21C, and we have with us here Shahir Chaudhry, who is the news editor of Islam 21C. Say Assalamu alaikum, Shahir.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, good. How are you?
Good to I'm good.
MashaAllah. So apologies for the brief technical difficulties. I think we're properly broadcasting live now. So if you can hear us, just mention a comment or something. We'll crack on. As I mentioned, this is a weekly roundup of what's been happening, not just on Islam 21C, but the broader kind of world, the ummah. What's happening in the news, and we thought one of the things that our interviews with our esteemed viewers and readers from across the globe is that they've been saying is we want more kind of comment and analysis on news from a Muslim perspective. So over to you, Shahid. What's been happening?
Yeah, so I think it's a bit of an elephant in the room. I think we might as well start off with the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So I think brothers and sisters who are watching right now, we may probably not have much of an audience today because it is the opening ceremony is literally live right now. But there was obviously the big story about the FIFA president yesterday, where he had a conference and he started saying, don't criticize Qatar, don't do this and that. But
Yeah.
it's interesting seeing how the mainstream media have been kind of portraying him in a really negative light. Like The Guardian, for example, calling it bizarre, and a lot of others, like the Wales First Minister, saying, he's dug himself into a hole.
Yeah.
It's not looking good for him. So it is amusing. And obviously, with that was linked the announcement on the beer ban. So
Yeah.
obviously, before yesterday or the day before, beer was going to be sold in like specific areas of stadiums, but now it's completely banned. So
I heard it's still kind of being sold in some places in
yeah,
the
that's
stadium,
right.
even, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still being sold in some areas, but I think on the whole, yeah, I think it's a lot more strict than it was. So
Yeah.
it's quite amusing from our kind of perspective, obviously.
Here's the I'm putting up on the screen the quote from FIFA President Gianni Infantino.
Yeah,
This was shared by Majid Freeman. Mashallah, shout out to Magstar.
yeah,
FIFA President Gianni Infantino ferociously criticized Europe for its double standards on the issue of migrant workers. He said, "I'm European. For what we've been doing for 300 years, 3,000 years around the world, we should be apologizing for the next 3,000 years before giving moral lessons." And I thought that would really annoy, uh, you know, kind of white liberals who've been kind of perpetuating this stereotype of these foreign kind of barbaric Muslim other,
yeah,
you know, they have to be by definition, very inferior in morally and civilization and stuff, and they're just getting really angry, with
yeah,
anyone who's highlighting the fact that under any moral objective standard of uh, you know good behavior that at least people can kind of come
exactly.
together and agree on. They're teaching, you know, the rest of the world good manners and morals and so forth, right? They're plastering hadiths and so forth, all about
Exactly.
being nice and statements about, you know, and just generally,
Yeah. And
I heard,
I think there was a thing I read this morning. But I think 600 people have already
yeah.
taken their shahada after just this,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We haven't confirmed the accuracy of that number, but
Yeah,
apparently, there means lots of dawahs happening, lots of people becoming Muslim because, we are in Islamophobia Awareness Month, of course, and Islamophobia requires a obviously a dislike of Islam, which requires an active perpetuating of ignorance of Islam. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Fussilat, وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَا تَسْمَعُوا لِهَذَا الْقُرْآنِ وَالْغَوْا فِيهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَغْلِبُونَ. Yet the disbelievers say, don't listen to this Quran and make noise during it. Yeah, make noise during it because that you want to stop others listening and learning the truth. So rejection of Islam and Islamophobia and a hatred of Muslims and Islam and opposition to it requires, you know, suppressing and people not listening to the truth. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَغْلِبُونَ, so that you may be victorious, you know, over the Prophet and over the Muslims. So it's whenever you remove that veil from people, because they've been indoctrinated for the last 1,000 years. There's a really important book called I think it's called Islam Through Western Eyes, something like that, by Jonathan Lyons. He basically charts 1,000 years of discourse about Muslims, about Islam, about the other, in what we today call the West or Europe, from the Crusades all the way to the Spanish Reconquista, all the way to the War on Terror. Like it's one continuous stream of kind of misinformation and lies. And when you have Muslims or non-Muslims who absorb that over centuries, they're actually interacting with Muslims maybe for the first time, a Muslim majority country, and they're seeing the symbols of Islam, and the things that inhibit their intellect, like alcohol and stuff, they're kind of removed, or obstacles are put in place. Then they're able to see the truth more, and they're able to obviously, you know, think more clearly and come closer to the truth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them. So we got our brother Alim. He's there as well. MashaAllah, he's doing the old football commentary from Qatar. I'll just put it up here. So he's going to be writing regularly, you know, his updates, his musings, the musings of a football Muslim football fan at the World Cup. MashaAllah. So you've been talking to him as well, right?
Yeah, it's been excellent. I mean, we just posted an article this morning. He just mentioned, you know, how his preparations were, how the flight was, his general kind of understanding of how things have been so far, his hotel stay. But it's very interesting seeing it from a Muslim perspective, because you don't often get that. So yeah, it'd be very good to hear from the brother.
Yeah. And we're going to be posting his stuff on articles and stuff on Islam Tennessee, but also check out stick to our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram to get kind of the short, snappy, you know, little vids or tweets or quotes and that kind of stuff from Islam Tennessee social media channels. What else has been happening? So we're seeing this the death of Sheikh Mawlana Rafi Usmani, rahimahullah.
Yeah, so I think at the age of 86, I understand that he had like a prolonged illness. He wasn't doing too well. But yeah, subhanAllah, man, I mean, the weight, the strength of the character, I mean, you know, not just him as well, his brother, his father,
yeah,
other relatives in the family. So it's a big loss for the Ummah, definitely.
Yeah, rahimahullah. Lots of scholars are passing away, subhanAllah.
Absolutely, yeah. I was just thinking that this morning.
Others are saying as well that you know that they notice that this is it's kind of happening a lot. Even this year alone, subhanAllah. Give tawfiq to their students and followers to fill in those shoes, inshallah.
I mean, there was also earlier in the week a report in the UK by My Family Group, so it's regarding adoption, fostering, and so on. It's a very important report because they highlighted the fact that there's over 5,000 British Muslim kids in the care system, and a lot of them are at risk of their Islamic Muslim identity being eroded or taken away from them. So they made a number of recommendations, and I thought it was quite profound because, you know, as a Muslim society, we do have a responsibility over children.
Yeah.
The fact that, you know, there's thousands of them who may be at risk of, you know, losing that Islamic heritage is concerning. So
yeah,
a very good report, and inshallah, people will take action accordingly.
Yeah. You know, I went to one of their events. I think it was like a launch for when they rebranded from My Muslim Family to My Family Group.
Yeah.
Probably in line with this idea that, you know, Muslims have a duty of care to all children, you know, not just our own. But they mentioned something that really shocked me. They said we've one thing that's really kind of eaten away at our duty, our moral duty, our Islamic duty as Muslims, is the creation of orphanages.
Yeah.
and they said this is something completely like a innovation, a bid'ah almost. Yeah, that orphanages are actually terrible things to actually have.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. Like, normally we always like fundraising for orphanages and stuff like that, but they're like, what does Islam say you're supposed to do? You're supposed to take in an orphan,
Yeah.
raise them in your home, give them a proper human loving environment. You
Absolutely.
don't kind of get rid of their lineage and pretend that they're yours necessarily, like full adoption is. But this whole issue of fostering, taking care of orphans, bring them into your homes, into your tribes, into your societies, and raising them as like quote unquote normal members of society, not putting them, locking them away in some orphanage
Exactly.
somewhere. And that was really shocking to me. And obviously, I'm not saying we shouldn't fund orphanages, because one of the reasons we need orphanages today, unfortunately, is because they're in crisis zones, war zones, and that kind of stuff. And there's just like a mass number of orphans and stuff. But the idea was we need to kind of revive this spirit and this Islamic notion of taking care of orphans, taking care of children who are either orphan asli, like yatim al-haqiqi, that are actually their father has passed away or their both parents have passed away and they have no immediate guardians, for example, or uh, yatim hukmi. Yeah, they may not be literally orphans in the literal sense, but because they've been taken away from their parents, they have that temporary state of legally kind of being similar to an orphan, in which case we still need to take care of them and exercise our Islamic duty. So brothers and sisters, if you're watching, if you got some room in your home, some in your heart, and it doesn't need much budget. In fact, people, you don't need that much money even to look after orphans. In fact, you get paid for it, I think, in the by the government, and some people actually do this as like a full-time career kind of thing. I know one brother in my local area where I used to live. He used to be like an accountant, and he just kind of left that job because he's like, there's no job satisfaction now. All I do is I help foster kids, and they get risk from that, and it's a very good career choice that many Muslims, more and more Muslims, should be thinking about. And may Allah give us a tawfiq. So what else has been happening?
There was a positive news. It's a few days old now, but obviously there was the 11-year-old Muslim child from Leeds. He did an IQ test
Mashallah.
recently, and yeah, I think he scored 162,
Mashallah.
which was higher than Stephen Hawking.
I
And
hadn't seen him knocking. Mashallah.
yeah,
This is the
mashallah.
guy.
I mean, I thought that was amazing.
Mashallah.
Yeah,
No, well
and
done.
the thing that really surprised me was he got 162, but during the test, he apparently misunderstood.
He almost qualifies for working at Islam Training C.
Well, exactly. There you go. So,
Sorry, you were
but
saying?
no, I was going to say that. Yeah, so he got 162, but I think he would have done even higher or done better because basically during the test he
He was
misunderstood an
fasting.
instruction given to him,
What? Mashallah.
and so he had 3 minutes, I think, to do 15 questions, and he
Yeah.
misunderstood it as 13 minutes. So he did it a bit slower than he should have done, but the fact that he still scored so
Wow.
highly,
Mashallah.
it's amazing.
Maybe that kind of gives you a sense of calm, and
Exactly. That's it.
don't stress.
Yeah, yeah, but it
Mashallah.
gives you also understanding of how much intellect this guy has, mashallah, this
Mashallah.
kid. I mean,
Tabarakallah.
subhanallah, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, he could do great things, inshallah.
Allahumma
It's
barik.
very inspiring. Uh, very
Mashallah.
inspiring.
Mashallah.
And
So,
then there was also, I think, some positive news you could take from this. There was the story in Slough.
yeah.
There was the sad news of a young Muslim brother who was stabbed to death in, I think, in May of this year.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
16-year-old boy,
Abdul Aziz
Abdul
Ansari,
Aziz,
rahimahullah. He's the son of my good friend. He's very active in the dawah, active in the community, mashallah, tabarakallah. He sadly was murdered, and it
yeah,
was his killer's trial last week, and the verdict came out. Oh, I think they're waiting. No, the verdict did come out. Yeah.
the verdict, yeah, he's been charged and
Yeah.
convicted.
Yeah.
That was on the 15th, and 21st of December he'll be sentenced. But it's
But
just shocking. The culprits.
I interviewed his father. I'll look for the thing and maybe put it up in the comments, inshallah. In one of our local masjids, and mashallah, he and his family, mashallah, tabarakallah, they are inspirational. I hope he doesn't watch this because I'm going to praise him too much. But mashallah, tabarakallah, the level, the type of sabr and the type of active sabr, not just passive or look what's happened, but actively, they're working in the community. They're setting up projects to tackle knife crime, and he's starting a foundation in his name, rahimahullah. And it's really a beautiful story as well in terms of his son. How he in recent years, he became more practicing. He was more active. He was competing with his own dad to read more and more Quran in Ramadan, and so may Allah accept him as a shaheed, inshallah.
Yeah, other than those top stories, there was also Istanbul. That was last Sunday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very unfortunate story as well. I think 6 people died.
Did they caught the person, right?
They caught a woman who was believed to have crossed over from Syria. I believe she's still in custody, and they did make, I think, over 40 other arrests.
Yeah.
They're making progress, but it's quite unfortunate. I think they blamed it on Kurdish militants. But yeah, it's a shame. Turkey seems to be affected by terror attacks quite a lot, more so than other countries. So yeah. Other than that, there was also the story about the brother in Egypt, the British Egyptian dual national, Ala Abdel Fattah. So obviously he's been in prison for the best part of about 10 years now. And he was on hunger strike since April. And he escalated that to a full hunger strike, I think, just before COP27 started. But he has now broken the hunger strike, and his family was able to visit him. He's doing okay, but the British government seems to be taking a kind of back seat on the story, because I read just this morning that the Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, he was quoted as saying that, what did he say? He said that he's interested, quote, interested in the case. Whereas just a few days earlier, he was, pushing for the release. He was saying he was going to speak to, high-level members of the government in Egypt and so on to kind of secure the release. But it doesn't seem like any progress is being made, so it's a shame.
Yeah. Allah hasten his release. He's a British citizen. He's been in an Egyptian prison for how many years?
Best part of 10 years.
SubhanAllah.
And it's a family that's full of activists and political, campaigners. His father was in Egyptian prisons for a number of years. His sisters are activists. His mother's an activist. So it's a real shame if nothing can be done in regards to his case. Yeah.
Allah hasten his release. Okay, so brothers and sisters, these were meant to be short and snappy kind of recordings or live streams. So I think we've gone on for quite a few minutes now, but we started streaming accidentally, so that the first few minutes doesn't count. But yeah, if you like this weekly news roundup, give it a like and a share it with other people. Leave a comment below. Jazakumullah khairan for the brothers and sisters engaging in the comments. Let us know also any stories that you have that you want us to cover, any good news from around the Muslim world, around the UK or anywhere actually. And that's it from me. Next week we'll see you. I'll be from a secret undisclosed location. I'll try and make it from there anyway, inshallah, and show you some nice backgrounds and backdrops and stuff. But until then, assalamu alaikum from me, and Shahir, over to you.
Yeah, nothing to add on to that really. Jazakallah khair for everyone attending and watching. We'll see you inshallah next time.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.